Hello, distinguished guests and viewers. Welcome back to another installment of White Lives Matter, a show where a black queer tells you why white lives matter too much in America and around the world, but mostly here in America. Today is a special day because I'm going to talk about the LA riots, since that is a thing that has been coming up with neo-Nazis and white supremacists a lot recently. Mostly pertaining to the events in Koreatown and not pertaining to the events that led up to the LA riots themselves. And by the way, I just learned that John Singleton died. I'm going to say this was posted a day ago, so rest in peace, Boys in the Hood creator John Singleton. Also alive during the LA riots, and also has a retelling of that along with someone else that was there to retell it. It's one of the great stories that definitely needs to be retold time and time again, because we never need to forget the events that led up to the LA riots and how that event heavily influenced our country, but we definitely don't need to retell it through the lens of white supremacists. So, for those of you who aren't familiar, who were either not born or little in 1992, as I was, the LA riots were mostly I want to say inspired by, because that's a term I use a lot, but this isn't a term, that's not a proper term for this. Sparked by the beating of Rodney King of the LAPD. Now, you can probably still find that video, because nothing dies on the internet. You can probably look up what that whole incident, because it has long since passed. But Rodney King, unarmed black man, as far as I know, was brutally beaten by the LAPD. And the people of LA decided that they had enough and rioted. In the words of Martin Luther King, riots are the voice of the unheard, or the voice of the ignored. You can look that up too. I'm not good. And I also, for those of you who also don't know, Rodney King died a while ago of alcohol poisoning. After the events of 1992, it's my understanding that his life pretty much spiraled downhill from there, despite his fame and the outpour of support and the outcry for justice. And I think he even won his case against the LAPD. But there are a lot of reasons why people go into stuff like that. And me being from Louisiana, I can think of every reason and do all the things. And not that I'm trying to justify or demonize either way. People live their lives and they do what they feel like they need to do to cope. And I can't imagine what it was like to be Rodney King. But back to the LA riot. Well, we haven't really left. We're still talking about Rodney King. So the the subject matter that I would like to mention is that there are a lot of white supremacists and white nationalists talking about how they're going to build their arsenal of arms in the event that their area is ever hit by something like the LA riots. Now, what they're referring to, as I said earlier, is Koreatown. What happened specifically in Koreatown, aside from the main event of Rodney King that triggered the LA riots, was that a Korean store owner shot a black child that was accused of shoplifting. So, the Rodney King thing happened. I think that the black child being shot happened before that, but the community was already at unrest with Koreatown, and there was a huge averse between these two sides because of that event. So, and I'm going to say that happened first because when the shit finally hit the fan against the LAPD, the community unfortunately turned on itself, and Koreatown got a lot of the brunt of that because of the shooting of that child. And speaking as a black person, I am going to say that what they did was out of hatred for how authoritarian figures felt like they could just abuse and kill the black community. And I'm not saying that it was right. I feel like the community definitely should not have turned on itself, but when things like this happen and there's so much injustice just piled up on each other, it all looks the same, and people, they do have a tendency to lash out at each other, and it makes the statement that it needs to make, and it shouldn't be ignored. But, like, it's also basic psychology of when you are feeling a certain type of way, the person that is closest to you is yourself. So that is the first person that is likely to be hurt. And I can apply this in a community sense, where the community lashed out and was hurting and hurt itself. But in terms of Koreatown, they basically stacked up an arsenal to protect themselves against the rioters. But not just rioters, it was also people that specifically targeted them to get revenge for the death of this black child. And these white nationalists and white supremacists that I see saying that they would build an arsenal in the event that a riot came because of this, first of all, that's like wishing something like that would happen again. And that was completely and utterly devastating for everyone involved. It turned lives completely upside down. So why you would wish for something like this, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is just extreme human malice. Just, this is the only thing that you can think of to justify gunning down black people. Like, you're not going on white supremacist things talking about, oh, if the Nazis come, I need an arsenal so I can shoot Nazis. You're talking about shooting people that have been ignored by a system that has mistreated them, killed them, and abused them, and took them for everything that they have, and they are now angry and lashing out to show that this is no longer acceptable, and you want to kill them. You don't want to do anything about these authority figures that have abused them in such a way to lead them to this point. You just want to be a racist that kills, that would justifiably kill these marginalized people. And these white nationalists will leave out that, first of all, this was a thing that happened between two different groups of people of color. So there was no, this thing that they're dreaming up of like one supremacy over the other, that doesn't exist. Second of all, these people were directly attacked. So you were saying that you would take up arms against people who, that in the, hypothetically giving a direct attack towards you. If these people are directly attacking you, that means you did something against their community. Just like what happened in Koreatown about how these people felt about this child being shot and killed for shoplifting at that. So there are all kinds of targets these people are putting on themselves. One, they're saying that they just want to shoot black people because these are the people that are rioting. These are the people that they're always talking about because these are the people that are downtrodden in society. Asterisk Native Americans. And then you're saying that you are willing to do something to trigger an event that would lead to that thing happening because that is the, like, subsequent chain of events that happened. And boasting doesn't imply that you're fearing for your life. The people in Koreatown were feeling for their lives and their safety because their homes and businesses had already been destroyed. Whereas you bragging about how you want to get a lot of guns just in case this happens, well, a lot of these people live out where the Dust Bowl was. There's no good look for you. There's no way you can say, just in case this happens, I want to be prepared. That's what you say about the apocalypse. That's what you say about nuclear war. You don't say that about, if you're afraid of rioting, then maybe you should move, because there's going to be you with however many guns that you have versus an entire community of people. Unless, of course, you can round up your other Nazi friends to help you kill all the black people that your heart desires. By the way, they weren't really looking to kill people. They were looking to defend themselves. Of course, you have to shoot to kill because, I mean, people were shooting at them, too. And they wanted revenge, not only for what happened to Rodney, but what happened to this child. So you were saying that you were willing to participate in the triggering of events that would lead to the riots, that would lead to you specifically being targeted, to target others, particularly this group of people. I can't dog whistle any harder than that. And I don't feel like I need to. But to all of you, and then some of you don't even live here, I saw one Scottish dude, like, talking about getting arms. They don't even, do they have black people in Scotland? I don't know. He knows better than I do. You probably know who I'm talking about. Talking about the LA riots, and it's kind of insulting that somebody would feel like they would have, somebody that does not live here, that does not understand our history, would feel like they would have a justifiable scope into what happens in our communities, especially what happened in our major events in history that are racially charged, racially motivated, or however, whatever word you like to use. And also, I feel like, and it has to be white nationalism and white supremacy, because you want other people to be afraid of you, because as a white person, you're going to arm up and justifiably shoot at black people because they came after you because you did something. That's what happened. This is the missing piece to every argument. Someone did something to make these things happen. Riots literally don't happen just out of the blue. The backlash that came from Trayvon Martin, the constant riots and protests that are coming from Flint, these are the voices of the unheard and the continuous unheard. The downtrodden, the abused, the murdered, the raped, the pillaged. Asterisk Native Americans. And you continue to proudly, with a proclamation, perpetuate more violence against these people that have already experienced violence as to why they're doing what they're doing. So now I know I'm getting to a tangent because I've probably said that at least twice, so I'm going to go ahead and end this. But this is really just a video to address that. This right here is not afraid of you. I don't care about you if you don't care about the lives that you would be ruining and ending, and don't care about the lives that have already been ruined and ended. This is me saying I'm not afraid of white supremacy. I'm not afraid of white nationalists. If you don't like it, you know what, go back to Nazi Germany. That's what I have to say to that. But to the rest of you who are not Nazis, who are not white nationalists, who are not male or white supremacists, I hope that we can all band together and basically put these people back into the dark hole of history that they belong in. None of this ever needs to happen again. We should be learning from our mistakes and moving forward as a society, not anywhere near hoping that bad things happen to people so someone else can cause more hurt towards them. That's not what humanity is supposed to be about. But in the meantime, I hope you all take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you all later. Thank you so much for watching and or listening, my distinguished guests. Good night.